Let's talk standards. What are your standards for love? Do you have them? We practically have standards for anything in our life. We have standards for weight, which means what is the weight we feel comfortable with before we start taking action. We have standards for how much money we want to make, for the career, for our growth. Now, oftentimes these standards are not conscious. We may not even have chosen them intentionally, but they determine our life. And so the standards that you have for your love life will determine your love life. But first, my love, hi, this is Magda K, and welcome to my channel where we talk everything intimacy, relationships, and sexuality. If you are new here, hello, it's so awesome to meet you. And for anyone returning, so amazing to have you back. Whether you've been with us for a few weeks, months, or maybe years, thank you so much. I love our tribe. I think you guys are absolutely incredible. So today I want to talk about standards, and it's actually very important if you want to increase the quality of your intimate life. So it's never nice to admit it, and it definitely doesn't feel nice for an intimacy coach to admit that, but I've been in bad relationships. And the reason why I was in those bad relationships is because my standards for love were low. And so I stayed with partners that didn't treat me the way I wanted to be treated, but it did reflect the standards that I had. So I didn't have standards for being respected. I didn't have standards for my needs to be considered important, prioritized, and met. I also didn't really have standards for my partner to be loyal to me and not cheat on me. Now, it's not like I intentionally chose a partner who would disrespect me and would lie to me, but the fact that I got into those relationships and that I stayed despite all of these things happening simply reflected that my standards for love were low. Now, at least the good thing is that I did learn my lesson from each of those situations. So anytime I connected with someone who did not treat me right, I got an opportunity to reevaluate the standards that I held for my intimate relationship. So I learned things from that, and I have to admit that based on my own experience, also the clients that I have been working with and my friends, something that I see is that most of us don't actually give much energy or thought to those standards. Like, we don't set them consciously. We are not even aware whether we have any, and then they kind of subconsciously guide the quality of our intimate lives. And so I really believe that most people could really raise their standards. So what are standards for love? Well, these are the behaviors that you expect. So things that need to be happening, and the behaviors that you will not tolerate. So things that cannot be happening. So as an example, you may have a standard for your intimate relationship that you want it to be monogamous. You want your partner to be loyal. You don't want cheating, and you don't want anyone challenging the boundaries of a relationship. You may also have a standard that when you are emotionally down or when you're scared or worried, that your partner gives you emotional support. But you can also have standards, for example, for how they treat their body. You may have a standard that you want your partner to be working out and eat in a certain way. So the standards that you choose for yourself are for you. Like, you get to choose the standards you want to have. There are some general and common ones, like probably you would want someone who's kind, reliable, trustworthy, but you get to choose your subjective, specific standards for love as well. So how do we set standards for love? Because it's not just one day you decide that's the behavior I expect and I will not tolerate that, and then magically from one day to another you have the standards. It doesn't work like this. And in fact, if you raise your standards too high, this will not work, because your mind, your subconscious, will basically call bullshit on it. Your mind will be like, no, we both know these are not our standards. We both know this is not true. I don't believe that. And another thing is also that we may put too many standards, like too high, not really allowing anyone to meet them. And so what happens for some people is that instead of just setting standards, they end up building a wall that no one can penetrate. Now that is a misuse of standards, okay? So we don't want to use standards to protect ourselves from ever getting into a relationship. This is to guarantee a high quality relationship and that you will be treated right. So for example, maybe you have dated someone who, wasn't very reliable, like you couldn't rely on them. And so now you're deciding my standard is that I want a partner who is reliable. But if reliability is something that is not familiar to you, if your body, your nervous system hasn't really experienced what it feels like to rely on someone, like I said, your subconscious mind will call this BS and will not accept this standard. So you have to check in with yourself. Do I know what it means to rely on someone? Can I recognize when I am actually being able to rely on someone and when I'm not? Because if it's something that you're not familiar with, if you haven't properly experienced this, right? If it's an experience that your nervous system doesn't know, then you actually will not be able to recognize whether a person is reliable or not. And a lot of us have experienced this. So if I go back to my own bad toxic relationships, it's not that I said at the beginning that, yep, he's toxic and I'm still gonna be in a relationship with him. Like I thought I had my standards, but they were not integrated. They were not deeply rooted in me. So they're kind of the things I wished were true, but they were not true. They were not my real standards. And so even though I wanted someone that I could trust, and I wanted someone who can be loyal to me and who can prioritize my needs, but these concepts at that time were foreign to me. Because, I come from a very specific childhood, so I develop an anxious attachment style. I'm a recovering people pleaser. And so I didn't know how to prioritize my own needs. So even though I said that that's what I expect from my partner, I couldn't recognize that it wasn't happening because it was a new concept. So what we want to do is when we set the standards, we have to do it in full alignment with our self-esteem. So the standards I'm setting, they have to be embodied, right? They have to be the truth for my body deep inside of me. So I don't just raise standards, I have to raise my self-esteem so my standards and my self-esteem are at the same level. So I want to give you a bit of an example just to kind of understand it better. Before I started teaching Tantra and intimacy, I was working in business and I was doing successfully marketing and business consultation. By the way, I loved it. I still occasionally do it on the side just because it's something different. But one of the common things that my clients would come to me with was, how do I increase my prices, right? How can I charge more for the service that I'm providing? And the reason why this is so difficult to do is because if the price you're setting is too high for what you believe that you deserve to get for your work, right? So we have this discrepancy. You will actually be pushing clients away. You will not be finding clients willing to pay you this new high price because it's not embodied. So what we do is like this. Let's say someone charges $100 per hour, right? So this is where they are, and this is their self-esteem, the sense of, how much they deserve, the value that they give. So this is par. Now they want to increase the price. If you jump to 500, again, the subconscious mind will not accept it. So you just want to stretch yourself a little bit. Maybe you want to raise it first to $120. So now your self-esteem has to go a little bit higher, kind of lift to go a bit up, and you grow into this new price. Now when 120 feels within your comfort zone and feels familiar to you, then you can go 150. Again, you grow into this higher price, then you go up, you go up, you go up. So this is how you increase prices for your services, and that is how you increase standards for your love life. In fact, you can think of standards as a price that someone needs to pay to be with you, right? It is how they need to treat you and what they are, it's not okay for them to do in order to be in a relationship with you. So again, you add a new standard, you gotta make sure you give yourself time, space, and you're doing the work to grow into the new standard. You have to become these standards, otherwise they are not real. Now, the thing is that when it comes to self-esteem, generally as humans, we really struggle with admitting that we actually have low self-esteem. So that's practically common for any person I speak to. If I ever bring up the concept of self-esteem, I hear, no, my self-esteem is good, like it's strong and healthy. Well, look around you at your life. Are you living the life of your dreams, like truly the life of your dreams? Are you respected by all the people around you? Are all of the relationships that you're in deeply fulfilling and satisfying? If you're not answering yes to all of it, that actually means that your self-esteem is not as high as you would like it to be. Because the reality we live in basically reflects our self-esteem, what we will be tolerating even though we may not want this in our reality. And the truth is, for most of us, we actually really could be doing work on increasing our self-esteem. And when it comes to self-esteem work, it's not like, it's not a black and white thing. It's not 0-1 game. It's not that you don't have self-esteem and now you have. It's a scale, so you can always strengthen your self-esteem. You can always increase it. You can always make it healthier and healthier. So I look at it as more of like a constant work that we want to be doing to make sure that we really get to have these standards for our love life. So now, how can you practically start setting these new higher standards for love? So the first thing you want to do is to write down, just make a list of all the standards that you want for your love life. Next, I want you to pick 10 most important ones. So the ones that these really need to happen. And then among these 10, I want you to identify 3 to 5 top ones and also put them in the order, like from the most important one to the less and the less and the less, right? And you're picking 3 to 5, and these are the ones that you will be working with. Then you want to take each of them one by one and start doing the work to grow into this. So if I go back to the example of having standards for being reliable, right? You want a partner that's reliable, that you can lean on. So the work you'll be doing is journaling and self-reflection and belief reprogramming around the idea, what does it mean to you to be able to rely on someone? How can you recognize if someone is reliable or not? Can you rely on yourself? Okay, so these are the questions you want to be looking at and doing the work so you grow into this standard. And the more you embody this, the more you will be upholding this specific standard in your love life. This is meant to be deep work. It's not something you do in 5 minutes. It's something you really want to be diving into because it will be uncovering a lot of deep conditioning and old stories. Now, for some of us, we can do this work on our own. There's a lot of things that I sit with, I journal, I sometimes ask my friend to help me reflect things on. But then there's some things when I feel like I'm just getting stuck and I need a bit of help. So if you feel like this is something that you would like my help with, I can join you and we can look at these things together. This is what I do with my one-on-one clients. We work on increasing their standards for love so they can attract better. So if you are right now looking at your past and just kind of wondering, why do you keep repeating the same pattern? You probably want to be looking at your standards and raising them. And again, if you would like to do this work together, you can head to magdakay.com/apply. The link is also in the description. And let's talk more. Let's see how I can specifically help you increase your standards so you can have the type of love life that you truly desire. So my love, I hope that you found this video helpful. I hope that it will inspire you to look at your current standards and consider what kind of standards you would like to have. Now, if you did like this video, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel if you would like more videos like that. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, where I share something every day and you get more personal insights to my life. I would love to see you there as well. Darling, thank you so much for being here and watching this video, and I hope to see you next week. Bye!